We are just days away from NFL free agency opening up, and in today's video, I'm going to go through 3 players that Joe Schoen needs to sign in NFL free agency if he wants to get Big Blue back on track for the 2024 NFL season. You're watching Giants Now by Chat Sports, and I am your host, Marshall Green. The New York Giants are expected to open free agency with roughly around $39.8 million in cap space. So Joe Schoen will have plenty of resources to use if he wants to improve this team in NFL free agency. We've heard rumors that the Giants are going to be spenders on the offensive line. We've heard them connected to some of the top edge rushers in this class. So maybe Joe Schoen will make a big splash to try to make this football team better. But if you want the Giants to sign an offensive lineman, because I always ask on our live shows, what is the number one need for the Giants? And we're usually all in agreement that it's the offensive line. So if you want the Giants to go out and sign an offensive lineman, like this video right now. The number one most important need for the Giants is the offensive line. And that's why I am saying Joe Schoen needs to go out and sign the best interior offensive lineman on the market, and that is Robert Hunt, the offensive guard for the Miami Dolphins. He's just 27 years old, 6'6", 335 pounds, and he was a second-round pick in the 2020 NFL draft. Played in just 9 games last year, dealt with a little bit of injury, but he allowed just 1 sack. And in my opinion, he's the best guy at the position on the market, and Pro Football Focus, they agree. You look at what he did the last 3 years and where he stacks up in the PFF grades. They graded him out to be the 6th best interior offensive lineman last year out of 79 qualified candidates, and they gave him a 76.4 season-long grade. They also gave him a PFF WAR of .22, very similar to WAR in the MLB, ranking it the 23rd when it comes to guard. Then you go and look at his entire career and how Pro Football Focus has graded him out in that regard. And you see they've been relatively nice when grading him because he's been a pretty damn good football player, and he's only gotten better and better as each season goes on. 66 to 67 to 73 to 77, and having his best year in the NFL this past year, being graded out as a 75.9 when it comes to run blocking and a 74.5 in pass blocking. In my opinion, he's one of the best run blockers in this league. He really did a good job for Miami last year in their zone type of concept. And as a pass blocker, he's pretty damn good as well. Allowed just 5 QB pressures last year, only 3 QB hurries, 1 QB hit, and 1 QB sack. And Jordan Ott of ESPN just put this out, that all signs point to Robert Hunt being one of the guys, and likely the primary guy, the Giants will go after. And this is music to my ears. The biggest need for this team is help on the offensive line. And you may be getting the best guy at an interior offensive line position. It's not going to be cheap, though. Pro Football Focus thinks that Robert Hunt will get a 4-year deal worth $70 million total, 42 of it guaranteed, and being paid out on average $17.5 million per year. I think he is worth every single penny. If you're able to bring him in and make him a part of this football team, you have an offensive line that consists of Andrew Thomas, Robert Hunt, John Michael Schmitz. Maybe you go out and draft somebody. I like the sound of that, and I like that Carmen Brasillo is now in this spot as the O-line coach, and I think he can help develop some of those younger guys on this roster. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel because we are going to be live all day on Monday for the kickoff of NFL free agency, breaking it down from every single angle across the National Football League, but mainly focused on the New York Football Giants. So subscribe and turn the notifications on and join us Monday morning for our live free agency special. From in the trenches on offense, I think the Giants also need to look in the trenches on defense. And I am going to say that the Giants need to go out and sign Bryce Huff, the young edge rusher for the New York Jets. He is still just 25 years old, and he's got prototypical size, 6'3", 225 pounds, and he was really good in 2023. 29 tackles, 10 sacks, had 10 tackles for loss. But I will say, he is not my number one edge rusher target. Danielle Hunter, the pass rusher for the Minnesota Vikings, is my dream edge signing for the New York Giants. But I don't necessarily think or believe that Joe Schoen is going to ante up the money for the top interior offensive lineman as well as the top edge rusher. And I'm not sure you want to live in a world where you are paying 2 of the best players in free agency to come play for your football team. You usually have to overpay a little bit in free agency, and that's why I think Huff makes more sense for this New York Giants team. Still a really damn good football player. And he's going to get a lot of money, but less than Hunter, and he's 4 years younger than him. The Giants are not winning a Super Bowl this year. Maybe I'm wrong, and I'll come back and say I'm wrong in the most happy way possible. But getting a guy that's 25 and just scratching the surface of his prime, I think makes a little bit more sense. You see his stats on screen. They've only gotten better and better each year. He was graded out by PFF at an 86.8 pass rush grade this past year. He had 67 total pressures, and per PFF, Huff's 22.9% win rate on pass rushes was second to Micah Parsons in the NFL at 24.9. So with more volume, more snaps, I think you can take that 10 sacks to maybe 14 or 15, and I think you'd be a really great guy to pair for the long term with Kayvon Thibodeaux on one side and Bryce Huff on the other. Not going to be cheap, though. Just cheaper than Danielle Hunter, who's projected to get around $23 million per year, while Bryce Huff is expected to get somewhere around $16 to $17 million per year. I would go Huff, and I would go Hunt, or maybe you can go for a guy like Jonah Jackson and then Danielle Hunter. I could see both of those pairings happening for the New York Giants. I'm going to go with this one, though. But now's your time to tell me who you want the Giants to sign. Give me a free agent you think the Giants need to sign an NFL free agency. Drop their name down in the comments. So I know the video says free agents the Giants must re-sign. Well, I'm going to talk about a guy that's on this football team until Monday. How about you go out and you re-sign Xavier McKinney, one of the best defensive backs in this free agency class, and you get him back on this team. Why? Because good teams in the NFL, they don't let good 24-year-olds walk out the door for nothing. And that's exactly what X is. He's a good football player. He's just 24 years old, and he's coming off his best season in the National Football League. I'm a huge fan of Xavier McKinney. I understand that some people, and even myself at times, question the impact he's having. But I think in a new defense, he'll play better. But you look at what he did in 2023. Career high in tackles. Career high, tied in tackles for loss. 3 interceptions. Tied at career high in pass breakups. And that was predominantly as the single high safety in a Wink Martindale defense. And that will change in the Shane Bowen defense. And I actually believe that McKinney is a better fit, and he can be even more explosive and productive in this defense. We know that Bowen likes to run packages on the defensive side of the ball that are DB heavy. A lot of nickel, a lot of dime. There's going to be a lot of DBs on the field. And when you do that, you're not just asking your DBs and safeties to cover, you're also expecting them to help on run fits and slow down the run. And X, he can play deep, he can guard tight ends, but we know that he can also get sticky with it in the box. Ultimately, why do you bring him back? He's 24 years old. He has not reached his peak in the NFL. He's a 2-time captain for the New York Giants. He played every single snap last year for this football team, and at the end of the day, he is a good football player. And the Giants, they don't have a lot of top-end talent on this roster. And when you have a guy like McKinney that has high-end talent, and he's 24, and he hasn't reached his peak, you do whatever it takes to bring him back. And that's exactly what I would do if I was Joe Schoen. I know there's some people saying that the safety position is the running back position of the defense. I'm just kind of into the camp that Giants need to keep good football players on their team that are 24. Keep the guys that you have grown and developed. Sound like X wanted to be a Giant when he was talking to Kay Adams on her show? But we'll know more by Monday morning, potentially. Would you re-sign him, though? Type R for re-sign, type P for pass. Let me know what you think. Make sure you are following me on social media, because at this time of year, news breaks at all different times. So subscribe and follow on social media so you never miss a thing when it comes to Big Blue.